Hi, all you art fans. Comedian 𝗦𝗂𝗃𝐽𝐝 here for the Atlantic City Arts Foundation, and I'm in one of the best seats in town. It's a brand new Adirondack chair installation at Pacific Garden. And if you're not familiar with Pacific Garden, of course, it's right on Pacific, and it's right near the Tropicana, the nearest casino, and it is really a family slash neighbor slash community work in progress, and it's just amazing. And we are first here, I want to show you a shot of the chair. So this chair is beautifully painted. Obviously, it's an homage to the fire department here in Atlantic City. And actually, one of the participants in this garden is a retired fire chief, Sonny Ireland. And I am here right now with his son and son-in-law. So I'm here with Daryl and Chuck. How are you fellas doing? So I'm going to get in between you guys. I'm maxed up. I know you've been quarantining together. So tell us about this chair, because really interesting. A lot of times our Adirondack project chairs get painted, but this one actually got routered as well. You did some router work on it and sort of changed the design of the actual wood on the Adirondack chair. So Chuck, tell me about the chair.
Well, we wanted it to look a little different than some of the other chairs. So I thought about a stain instead of a paint, so it wasn't kind of have a classy look. And my artist friend who did a lot of the design work, Sherry, thought that was a great idea, and we just went to town with it and kept it simple, and that's what we came up with.
And how did you come up with the theme, as if I didn't know?
Well, I guess we wanted to honor the firemen of Atlantic City, and my dad is a retired fire chief, battalion chief, so
Now,
that's
how do
it came about.
you ensure that it's going to withstand the elements, all that salt air? And, you know, we do get snow here, at least we used to. We didn't really get a lot of snow this year.
The key is in the prep. So I spent a lot of time prepping it, sanding it, sand and seal, and quality products. We use a really good sealer and a good varnish. That's about it. I mean,
Now, Chuck, are you an artist yourself? Do you do any kind of painting?
not really.
So you were more doing the prep work. So it sounds like you were a good team with your friend. And that is actually the same woman that did the project that's on the corner here, the famed Monopoly board mural. We'll have the cameraman get a shot of that. So how did that come to be?
Well, Daryl can tell you about that.
All right, we'll go over to Daryl. So Daryl is actually the founder of the Atlantic City Arts Foundation. You serve on the board. You, of course, were the head of the board, and you've backed away a little bit because it's a lot of work keeping an arts foundation going, isn't it?
It is a lot of work, and new ideas from other people is always good to refresh a board. You know, it's always good to have new blood in there, as they say. But in 2017, the arts have always been a passion of mine. In 2017, we had this wall, and we thought it'd be a great place for a mural. And our friend 𝗘𝘃𝗃𝐽𝐝, she's a teacher in Philly, and she had some time during the summer. She actually spent the whole summer of 2017 putting this mural together. It happened to be the first year of 48 blocks, so it was kind of a work in progress at that point. But now, you know, we're so happy with the finished work. And the CRDA came and they did a sealer on there and sealed the paint, and it's actually, you know, now it's 3 years old and it looks great still, right?
It looks great. It looks like it looks like a brand new tattoo, you know, before it fades out a little bit. Yeah. No, it looks great.
And Sherry works with a brush. Like this is all brushed on. It's all hand painted. Like, you know, each one of those squares is almost like its own painting in its own, you know. So it's just, you could spend time with this mural and see new stuff that you didn't see last time, you know.
And people really do. I mean, it's, you know, I'll make it a point to walk this way so that I can see it if I'm walking to an event or something around town here. You know, I make it a special point. I know other people in town do that as well. Now, are you an artist yourself? Like, what made you just go, hey, I'm going to start a foundation from the ground up?
No, I'm more of an appreciator of the arts. And I you know, took the idea actually from Santa Barbara, and we did a solstice parade back in 2010. And the idea of the Arts Foundation was to someday do another solstice parade someday. So it's turned into a lot more. Joyce Hagan, our executive director, came up with a lot of ideas. And also Lisa Honecker. Lisa Honecker from Stockton, she came up with the idea of an event, a citywide event, and that's where the name 48 Blocks came from. And then that's where we are now.
It's almost like a
Or
little
the
out.
48 block.
Right. We have a little mini grounds for sculpture going on here. Tell us quickly, just before we move into the garden and stuff, where are we in Atlantic City? And this. Tell me about this courtyard and this property.
Well, this property 10 years ago was nothing like this. There was a fence going across here. There was trash and mattresses, and you can imagine everything back here. And the CRDA maintained the front part of it for the curb appeal and to make it look a little bit nicer. Anyway, one of the ambassadors came by one day and was like, that fence has got to go. People are back there and causing problems. And so they came in and then they cleared out all the trash and cleared this out and actually built this raised bed here for us.
Wow.
And when they did that, that's when we started coming together and saying, hey, we got to do something here. And the neighbors have come out. A Chinese woman here comes out and she helps out, does part of the garden. And Christine, who you'll meet soon.
Yep. Christine and Peanut are here, so don't touch that dial.
They have come out and taken a few spaces here and actually have helped out in other parts of the garden as well.
So take me here. Let's check out, first of all, we'll tease them. We'll go into the garden last. But what is going on here? Because these are beautiful. I love these little natural wood sculptures going on here.
There was actually 4 cherry trees across here, and they were part of the original landscape design. And 2 of them fell down, and we just kind of pushed them over because they were rotted. And this one was still standing.
Okay.
And was in decent shape. So we were going to have an artist do a sculpture with this, but Sonny and Chuck are both woodworkers, and Sonny had the idea of saying, you know, instead of having someone carve it, why don't this is cherry wood. This'll just taken off the bark and sanding it down. It's going to have its own, they call this like a burl look or something, I guess. I don't know that much about it. Maybe Sonny will talk more about it. But and then with the other pieces, with the one was cool, but we had these other pieces just laying around, so he cleaned those up and did those as well. So
it's super creative. It's using what you got. So it's the city and it's the actual citizens that are working on this. So let's check out the garden. Oh, look at just pedestrians already are coming here. Let me talk to who's arrived here at our tiny little garden party, our little COVID garden party. Larry Sokolov, you're kind of a man about town, and you are a big fan of coming and visiting this garden. Why is that?
Well, it's just so beautiful to see this in our city, in a space you wouldn't expect it, and it's a vegetable garden that Sonny started with his family. That it's just amazing to walk by and see this. It's a breath of fresh air, and the mural, and it's all part of the community that's getting better and better all the time.
You're being good. You're not taking any tomatoes, are you?
Shh.
He's allowed. So I am here with Sonny Ireland, who we spoke to earlier. He's a retired fire chief, and we started there. We got to see all that. He was in his trailer waiting to come out. So Sonny, tell me why this kind of stuff is important in your city. I know you love Atlantic City.
Oh, you know, they did me before. I'll tell you, the biggest change was that fence. Before the fence, people thought this was where you could come in and let your dogs run and whatever. I thought I would get a lot of pushback from the thugs, but they didn't. Put up the fence, they just went somewhere else, and look how it is. I took care of this property. My whole family took care of all this property. It was somebody else's lot that Don Guardian, they get permission to, do you mind if we turn that nasty lot into a nice, and they're like, yeah, sure. So I took care of it, but then this piece came up at Atlantic City tax sale. And I bought it. So now, when it became mine, now I took even better care of it. So
it's beautiful. You're doing, I mean, the lawn work and everything. I mean, it's like nice turf. I almost wanted to take my shoes off, but I thought I'd keep it professional. You know, yeah, it's really nice.
And most of it was just my idea. Chuck, my son, and Daryl did most of the work. Put sod down, as you can see here. She'll get the film of it. It's the easiest thing. It's an afternoon's work, and it's rewarding. But to put sod here was real hard. Okay. Real hard. It was 10 days. Whoever tore this building down left the foundation, so you couldn't just stick a shovel in. You had to. It was a sidewalk. In fact, it was 12 tons, I think, Chuck, of rock and cement that we took to the dump. Then we had to have it backfilled with topsoil, and then what an afternoon we put down the sod. But it looks like it was easy, and it wasn't. It's
a labor of love, and we've got 47 more blocks to go. Can we maybe find you a piece of property at the other 47?
I'd love to know. It's that store right there. As soon as they close that store, that's the drug
We'll
store.
just make a garden across the street with a little bridge or something.
They have to close it. It's the drugstore.
So, all right, let's start entering into this garden. What do you think, Larry?
Oh, sure. Take a look around.
Tell them about that.
No, what about this?
Random plant growing
That's
up.
just
Tell-
that's a seed that blew in there. We don't know if it's squash or eggplant or what it is, but it just grew. We didn't plant it. It's just by accident, and we're gonna.
Okay, you have a volunteer plant? Okay, that's good. We can take whatever that bears, we can give it to maybe the food bank or something. So, Daryl, can you take us through this garden? Is there a way to enter in, or how do you want to?
I have a couple of spaces over there that I've taken
Okay.
care of, but I'll give you the overview.
Yeah,
This
let's
is-
get the overview.
So this is Chuck's section here where he wanted all herbs and stuff in here. So
I
we
love
planted.
it.
We had some cilantro, but it ran its course. And
Cilantro's so difficult.
well, if you don't pick it right away, it turns into corian.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to replant it, I guess. That's
Right.
what we learned. But, so it ran its course. We love cilantro. And
I love
we're
cilantro
missing
too.
it,
Yeah.
so we've been buying it. But that's mint in the corner there, in the very
Okay.
corner.
For
and-
mojitos after a hard day of laying sod.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually just put it in our ice water. We put it in our ice water. It's really good just to add a
Okay.
little flavor to the water.
All
and
right.
then basil to go with the tomatoes that we grow. And we usually get some fresh mozzarella from Tony Baloney's and mix it with the basil and our tomatoes. And this part here has gotten a little overgrown, but this was John planted, and these were all purple. They grew earlier, but they've run its course as well.
And John's your son.
And my son John, yeah. So he took care of this. He's kind of lagged on it a little bit, so it looks a little tattered. But you can see there's some jalapenos in there and celery actually.
I think that's fantastic. So your teenage son, how old is John? Is he 15, 16?
John is 15 years old.
15. So you got him out here working in the soil. And these plots all don't belong to you. You've invited the neighbors of the courtyard to take sections.
Exactly, exactly. Well, some of the neighbors right here have been coming out since the beginning, since even when this was just in transition still. But Chuck's really taken a lot of effort to put all these dividers in and make everything straight and to create these other plots so people know what section is theirs. Leather across the street, she has a couple of plots here and she came over and planted them.
Okay.
And we've been helping her maintain those. Also Antonio, who lives in the corner right here, and he built a little garden over here for his him and his wife came out and they have it close to their house. Chuck and I a few years ago built this bed for this woman. A lot of different pots and stuff, and it was looking messy, so we built that raised bed over there for her. So, and she's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
growing.
it certainly doesn't look messy now, and it's very fertile. It looks like everything is growing, and we've had a real heat wave. I see a squirrel got a hold of one of your eggplants, so you're sharing with the furry citizens of Atlantic City as well.
Yeah, that's part
What's
of
this
the.
plant?
They're part of the community. We have 2 squirrels that are here every day chasing each other around. And
Okay.
they're part of the garden as well.
I see.
This is sage.
Oh, that big though?
That's
I've never
sage,
seen
yeah,
the
yeah,
leaf
yeah.
so big.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Wow.
talking about, they do like the sage things that you burn for
Yes,
incense and stuff.
yes.
We're talking about cutting them and tying them together. We got to watch a YouTube
A
video.
little smudge. You do a little smudging. Get the bad juju out of the house. Okay, I understand. But I mean, this is beautiful. So, you can definitely, for the folks at home, you can certainly garden anywhere because everything is doing super well for these 100-degree days and stuff that we are having. Should we grab Christine and Peanut before you show us your compost? So, Christina, do you want to join us? So we have some special guests here at our tiny little socially. Next year we're going to have a big garden party, I would imagine. But right now we have to have our socially distanced. But joining me is another Atlantic City resident, Christina, and then, of course, the boss, Peanut. How are you, Peanut? So, Christina, how did you get involved in this? Tell me about your gardening history.
Well, I started gardening in my home, actually. During the pandemic, I started a small garden, like starter plants in my home. And then I was looking to bring those plants to a community garden and let them grow. So we found this community garden actually on the internet. And I stopped by and I asked if we could be a part of it. And they were more than willing to let us come in and take a spot. And we started just growing all of our plants here.
And this is kale, am I correct?
Yeah,
And this
this
is kale. So
We
what are
have-
you doing with all this kale? Are you making kale chips? Are you making dog biscuits with kale in it? Smoothies? What's happening?
We're doing smoothies. We did a soup. We did a warm kale salad with them.
Okay.
We've done a couple different things with quinoa in it.
Is this a hard crop to grow?
Actually, the kale has been the easiest to grow, and it's produced the most, I want to say. We've already picked it about 4 or 5 times, and it's come back this much. So
Oh, wow, you're kidding. So it comes right back. And this is onions or
scallions,
scallions? Okay.
scallions, and then leeks.
Leeks. All
And
right.
these were all started in our house. So basically, we already cooked with these. We cut them off, and we just planted them in the ground. So they're all kind of recycled in a way.
So all of this is really the ends that would have gone into the trash bin or someone's compost. And you,
for the kale,
except
sorry.
for the kale.
Except for the kale.
But you came over and planted. And what is in the back there? Those tomatoes
These are
going?
all tomatoes.
Okay.
They were actually started from a tomato that we were using for cooking. So
Okay.
from those seeds too. Yeah, so those are all tomatoes, and then here are some more.
So you have these 2 plots here.
Plots are ours, yeah.
And this is the first season that you've done it.
This is my first season, yep.
And did you know the Irelands or 𝗘𝘃𝗲𝗽𝐻 or anything before you started? Or you just, hey, I'm just going to check it out.
I just said I'm going to come by and check it out, and I want to help out and be a part of this, and I don't know, grow some vegetables and have a good time.
That's fantastic. So how near do you live? Are you driving, taking a jitney to get here, or you're around the corner?
We're about, I would say about 5 blocks or so from
Okay.
here. We're a good maybe like 10-minute walk. And then sometimes we drive our car if we were to bring things over, some soil or something. But sometimes we walk along the boardwalk, then we come back here and check out our garden and then walk home.
These are good people to know. These are really mainstays in our community, and as you can see, their generosity because you are on their property, and this is all happening. Have you met these other neighbors that Daryl was talking about? Have you met Leather or anyone else?
We've met a couple. I haven't met exactly, I think maybe we have. We came to a little gathering. They had a socially distanced gathering, and there were a lot of people from the community here, which was really nice. And we're just really appreciative too, because we live in a smaller apartment where we have no outdoor space. So this has really been a blessing for us to be able to come and have basically an outdoor space where we wouldn't have had one before.
I love it. So we're here. We have like an abandoned lot that the Irelands were keeping up. The city stepped in to help with that endeavor. And then Sonny asked for permission to just really clean it up, lay some sod. Now he owns the plot. And other neighbors are coming in. So we have just strangers in the community meeting each other here. We have our city government involved and helping out. I love it. Like, what a project. Do you think that you'll continue doing this in summers to come?
Definitely, yes. It was definitely something that was very enriching for both of us. Also, to my husband, he couldn't come today, but he also comes with me most of the time, and we do it together, kind of. We just use it as like a hobby, or just kind of come and relax a little during the evenings normally.
Now, when I look at your plots, I think, wow, you have a green thumb. Were you watching YouTube videos on how to plant kale, or did you come already knowing how to do all this?
Well, I have a little bit of history in gardening where I've actually spent some time over in Hawaii, and I worked on a couple organic farms. And that's where I started to learn about something called permaculture, and then learning how to like recycle your food basically and regrow it. And
What was the word you used? Just because we have our mask on. Permaculture?
Permaculture, it's called.
Permaculture.
If I'm thinking correctly, it is where you take what you have on your land or what you have, and you work to sustain it, and you kind of just work with the native species of the area.
Well, you're in trouble now, because when the executive director of the Arts Foundation, 𝗂𝘃𝗃 sees this, she's going to make you do a whole 48 blocks project next year, or maybe a lecture series to teach us all about this, because I think there's other places in the city we could have it. So get your notes ready.
I don't know if I'm an expert yet on the planting, but I definitely enjoy it. It's something that brings me a lot of joy, and it also like connects you a lot with the earth, and you see where your food is coming from. You have a different appreciation for it, I feel like.
Sure.
So
Now,
it's really
What before we let you go, and I think maybe we have some weather coming in. Before we let you go, tell everyone what they really want to know. Tell us all about Peanut.
Peanut. So Peanut is a toy poodle. He's actually from Beijing.
Oh my!
So,
He's international. We didn't know.
He's my little guy. He loves to come to the garden too, smell around a little, and he can also walk around a little in like an outdoor space. So it's really nice.
He stole the scene from us. You're never supposed to work with children or animals. He's very cute. He was very happy to see us when he came here. So, Peanut, thank you for being here. Do you have anything to say about art? Snoopy cartoons? Anything? All right, I'm going to find some recipes for kale chips that maybe we can get in your dog biscuits, maybe. Does he eat anything from the garden?
He can have sometimes a little bit of kale. The onions and leeks aren't normally
No,
good
you
for
can't
dogs.
have the onions, right.
Maybe a little bit of kale every now and then.
Christina, you're so sweet. Thank you for hopping in on this video. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got to meet you and Peanut. So I want to pick back up with Chuck and Daryl because there's even more. This really is a big project that you undertook. How hard is it to lay in this framing and framework to give everybody a plot?
We used a whole bunch of scrap wood from renovations that a friend of ours was doing. He wanted to throw it all away, and I saved it, and we slowly pieced it in.
Yeah, when Sandy came through, I think you guys managed to save a little bit of things that were just going to get thrown in a dumpster. You grabbed some. There was some boardwalk and stuff that you were able to. Didn't you make a table or something years ago from something?
Yeah. Well, Sonny works with wood, and Sonny and Chuck. So when we find scrap wood, we try to repurpose it.
That's amazing. We didn't even need to get you an Adirondack chair. You probably could build those.
Yeah, probably. No, Rick Santoro did a great job on the chairs, and we're just happy to be a part of it.
So let's see the rest of it because
One of our trips to the dump. This is one of our trips to the dump where Sonny told you about all the concrete we were tearing out.
Sure.
And we saw these pavers. These were in the trash at the dump. And
You're
we
kidding.
picked them up. We had no idea what we were going to do with them. And when we got back, laid them out, it was perfect for this walkway. This
perfect.
was all grown over weeds, and Chuck took a lot of time to plant seed and make the grass grow here, and it turned into this walkway. So last year, it did not look like this, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
I'm actually very impressed because if anyone's watching from somewhere other than South Jersey, we have just had a heat wave. We had a little torrential downpour last week, but it's been kind of like a dry summer, like to see all these plants being taken care of with green. Are you watering this with hoses and stuff, or are you leaving it to the elements?
It takes some TLC. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. We're out here
okay.
every morning. Well, because the sod is brand new this year, so just to get it established,
I
you
see.
can't let it get dry. So every morning out here, at least getting some water on the sod.
Now we're going to get some Pop Warner football games going here or something. This is nice turf.
Yeah, well, actually, some pop-up yoga maybe,
Maybe
so
some
that's,
pop-up yoga, yes.
that
Oh,
goes.
don't forget about the yoga.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a yoga party when we're allowed to gather again. So can we see, actually, you just left no square of this yard manicured, really. It's so nice.
Yeah, well,
So now we're getting into your actual, what would be the front yard of the house. And it looks like you rescued a bench here. You're rescuing all of these great
A few
things.
years ago, we started composting, and then Chuck and I were like, oh, let's make something more significant. And we took some of the same reclaimed wood and started building something that was a little more significant because it was hard to dig into the compost.
But this isn't a I know lots of friends who have compost in their backyard. This isn't that. This looks like looks like it's set up for like a kindergarten class to get like a lesson on composting. You've got all the barrels here. Take us through it.
Well, this is Sonny's deal.
Okay.
So he comes and he does all the layering. Like, you can't have too many people messing with it. So
Okay.
we pour in all the vegetables and then put a layer of dirt and a layer of the grass and cover it up because the flies are bad enough.
Okay.
So if you don't do those steps, you get even more. But we've been composting a few years. It saves a lot in the trash, and then we put it right back into the garden. So
Sure.
it's just another way of repurposing and reusing You know,
It's amazing, and as you're driving into the casinos or driving into your concert or event or just coming into the beach, like you just wouldn't know this is here. It's just a little hidden gem, and I think people tend to forget about that because we're so much about the big commerce that's in our town, and you forget that there's community here, and there's artists here, and there's families here that have lived here just for generations. So this is just a great little slice of heaven, just, you know, right in the middle of Pacific Avenue. Are we going to do some taste testing? I love these. These are like sugar. Yes.
Wipe that off with your shirt.
It'd be fine. It's I know where it came from. It just came from over there. That's okay. All right. Let me try one of these tomatoes.
It's an heirloom tomato.
Well, I feel like 𝗃𝗃𝐽 or something when he's out in the, it's like sugar, like candy, cameraman. Wow.
Jersey tomato there.
Well, there's a real sense of pride. I'm going to put this so Sonny doesn't yell at me. I'm putting the stem in the compost, Sonny. But there must be a real sense of pride when you do that. I had a community garden spot when I lived in Galloway. And it's so exciting to just plant it and leave it, and you come back and it bears fruit. It's nice.
It's fun to do. We had a neighbor that lived up in the corner up here, and she was the first time she had ever gardened, and she was just so amazed that she's like, I put seeds in the ground and it grew this, and there's a flower that comes back every year that she planted that it's pretty cool. So we like, oh, that's Teresa's flower there, and it's actually in the mural. That was her cat.
Oh, the little cat in the corner. Yeah, we'll get that when we take it out. So I really appreciate your hospitality, having us to your home. The work that you're doing in the community is amazing. It's just one person at a time. Like you said, you've got somebody gardening that's never gardened before. You've got neighbors meeting each other. You probably never would have met Christina or Peanut other than having the garden. Yeah. So it's really something that's bringing everyone together. So Daryl, of course, you've done just amazing work, just building the Arts Foundation from nothing in a few short years. This is not like you haven't been at it 30 years. To start with having a parade and going to where there's a giant festival citywide and casino sponsors and Stockton University sponsors it's an amazing feat. You should be very proud of yourself.
It's great. I'm amazed myself of what it's become. So it's great.
Well, good job, Chuck. This was actually your idea to have this project, so to do this, and you know, it's too bad that we're with the mask and can't have the big celebration that we wanted to have. But I know. Tell all your fans though. Take us out. Tell.
Well, we're gonna still have a party. It's just gonna be as soon as the COVID spike. Yeah. Goes away.
Everybody meet here 21, 22, something like that. Yeah. And we're going to have a big party and celebrate this. So make sure nothing happens to that chair.
Exactly.
But you did a great job, Chuck.
Thank you.
Maybe in October. All right. So Michelle Tomko for the Atlantic City Arts Foundation. This is just one project, of course. Make sure you're staying on those links. I feel like I'm talking on a telethon. But watch all of the programming that is happening the 7th, 8th, and 9th of August because everyone has been working very hard putting this together as the laws were changing and everyone had their projects and then something would change and it would have to be something different. But as you can see, this project is great. Just the neighbors here visiting now are just very happy. And people just stop along the street to admire what's going on here. Teresa's cat is going to take us out. And thanks everybody for watching and spending time with us. Thanks Larry, Sonny, Chuck, and of course Christina and Peanut. This is Michelle Tomko signing off. Enjoy your arts festival, folks.